try to block every shot, and I'm gonna be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think it's just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. They talking pundits, I hear you're ashamed. Talking that shop, you must run this way. If the dog palm, mess around, find out, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're ready for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. The dog palm, mess around, find out.
What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Downtown Deuce Show. Hope everybody's weekend is off to a good start on this Friday night, April 11th. So, the Pistons' last home game of the regular season, it's crazy to even say that, was tonight. And this year has really, really flown by. Time really flies when you're having fun, right? Time has wings. I've had more fun this year as a Pistons fan than I have had in over a decade. So I want to personally, first of all, before we go any further, say thank you to everybody who has been with us so far this year on this journey this year throughout the season. Everybody who has supported the channel, just hung with me during the ups and downs of the season. We've had our peaks and valleys, right? From the 8-game winning streak to the long West Coast late night road trip post games, right? It's been a lot of fun. And I really appreciate all of you guys. So I want to get that out the way and say that first because it is definitely the case. So getting back to this game, though, right? So the Pistons lose tonight to the Bucks, 125-119 at home, and they now have a record of 44-37 on the regular season, with one more game against the same team in the Milwaukee Bucks this coming Sunday at 12:30. And the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference is finally confirmed and cemented, pretty much 90% across the board, with the Pistons and Pacers probably both losing with the Pacers. In that sense, they're probably going to lose that game. Looks like the game's almost over. They're down by 20 in late or early fourth quarter. So the Pacers, if they lose this game, will not be able to move up to 3. And the Pistons will stay at 6, which means the Knicks will be at 3, right? So we will get a deeper look into the playoff picture later. Just kind of check out what's going on around the league. Stick around for that later on in the show. As far as who was available and who was not, the Pistons pretty much had everybody available outside of Isaiah Stewart, right? He was not playing tonight due to right knee inflammation, I believe it was. So I honestly think the Pistons were just getting him a little bit of rest. He played great last game, and once again, you got to make sure you're managing these guys right. So if anybody has any knick-knack injuries, now is the time to take care of that and make sure that those guys are in as close to 100% healthy as possible. So let me take a look at a few comments here. I see you guys in the comments. KS25 says Pistons in 6. What's going on, Shiv God? MB Will, I am unbothered by this game, bro. I am unbothered by this basketball game. I honestly am not bothered at all that the Pistons actually lost this game, because what it means is that now for sure the Pistons will play the New York Knicks, and we just saw how that looked last night, right? So I won't say I was hoping for this, because you never want to hope for a loss, right? But I'm not upset at all because of what this means as far as the playoff picture. Mark says, appreciate your podcast. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you, Dolly. I appreciate all you guys, man. You guys have really been road dogs this season. So I appreciate that. D. Davis says, I couldn't make the game tonight. What's going on, D. Davis? Fontecchio out of the rotation. We'll see. I will give his minutes to Ivy, even on one leg. All right, a few more comments and we'll get going. MB Will says, you called the Deuce KPJ was a steal, right? We talked about that last night. So we'll get into that a little bit too. Mick Hustler says, I'm just glad Orlando beat the Pacers so the Pistons can get the Knicks. Bingo. Ding, 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 Mick Hustler. You are on it, bro. So we'll talk about that. All right. So, guys, let's go ahead and get into this game. So, initial thoughts. Right? That's where we always start. This was a very fun game. It was fun. It was entertaining. I oftentimes am yelling at my flat screen multiple times, bare minimum, every game for this reason or that reason. But these last few games, or last couple games, I won't say few, last couple games have not really been that case for me. I've really just been very quiet watching the game, just really just observing. Even in moments when the Pistons were playing very, very well, I was still just kind of not subdued, but kind of just like, wow, great play, instead of just jumping at the TV, right? So the stress level for me has gone down a little bit from a sports standpoint when it comes to watching these basketball games, right? But and I think you guys understand why, because of what Mika Hustle just mentioned. These games don't mean as much as they do to other teams as right now because of where we stand in our positioning. We know we're going to be in the playoffs, so that's what matters most. Now it's about who we play. Doesn't mean as much. But this game was very competitive, highly competitive and physical. You can see both teams were obviously trying to continue to build good habits, just kind of stick to who they are identity wise and try to impose their will from start to finish. And that didn't happen tonight for either team, but you did see both teams kind of really just doing the trial run and kind of just getting into form, trying to round into form, start playing playoff basketball now, right? That's why you hear so many games right now around the league are being played. They're being described as playoff feels because teams are playing with that playoff intensity, and that's kind of what you kind of felt tonight, and a little bit last game too, but even more so I think tonight. So this game was kind of in that mold, and it did get a little bit chippy, right? Which once again usually happens in highly competitive games, especially when you have two physical teams like the Pistons and the Bucks. And as far as the actual game, the Pistons had chances to win it, right? The Pistons kind of just hung close for the duration of the second half. They had a couple leads early in the first half that were substantial. Second half, they found themselves trailing more than they were leading. But yeah, like I said, the game was up for grabs. It was in a balance, but the Pistons just didn't knock down enough shots. Right? They didn't take care of the ball well enough either down the stretch, which is not anything I think for concern, but it is something that happened in this game. And I think the Bucks kind of just showed their experience tonight. Right? They've been together longer as far as their core guys, right? They're Giannis's, the Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis's of the world, right? Those guys have played together. So, and you could see the chemistry between those guys tonight too. You could just see it. But so like I said, I wasn't really bothered by the fact that the Pistons didn't win this game. I was just more so focused on how they were playing, right? The approach to the game, not the final score, not the final buzzer. And they were sharp early. They were really sharp early. Offensively, they were very, very sharp, right? But in the second quarter, the Bucks kind of tightened their defense up, and the Pistons went cold, and that actually led to a 22-1 Bucks run between the end of the first quarter and midway through the second quarter. That was when they really kind of took over control or kind of gained control of the game in that sense. So, like I said, I'm not too bothered by it. Um, I really just think it's just one of those games where you just got to really focus on playing the right way on a game to game basis. And that's really all you can really hope for. And I feel like the Pistons really did that for the most part. Tara says, my sound is going in and out. Are you guys hearing that as well with my sound? Hopefully not. But yeah, you guys let me know. I can try to do a quick refresh, log right back in and back out and back in and see if that works. So you guys let me know if it's getting to a point where it's becoming too bothersome and we can try to do a quick little pause and keep going. All right. So you guys hold tight for 1 second. I'm going to do a quick refresh and I will be right. Okay. You guys let me know. Is that better? Hopefully that's better. Hopefully we can kind of go from here. But yeah, getting back to this game, um, yeah, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered by the loss. I'm kind of happy that it played out this way. So let's get into if you guys confirm that the audio is better. I will get into the individual box scores from this game, and we can kind of go from there. If you guys, unless you guys say anything otherwise, I'm just gonna push forward and hope that everything is smooth. and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and start with our superstar as far as box scores and see what he did tonight. So tonight, guys, Cade had Kenyatta says nope. Does that mean it's not better or it is better? Let me know. That's weird. That's weird. It should be working just fine. But all right, we'll try to soldier through. But let me start with this, guys. As far as with Cade, right? So tonight, I saw the stat actually posted during the game. Tonight, guys, not even just tonight, but just over the duration of the season, Cade has 22 30-point games this season. 22 30-point games this season. The last 3 years combined, he's had 21. Okay, you guys still say not better. Okay, so let me put a pause again. I'm going to put you guys in a quick little break. I'm going to try something here, and I'm going to try to do a restart, and hopefully that will fix the problem. My apologies to you guys, but I will do what I can, and I will be back momentarily. All right.
Rewind 2021. There was a parade in my city. Number one pick, dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the good. Kid arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Scotty B. No, when he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him wash when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it really Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Dudes went number one for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Win Benyama.
Cade Cunningham.
He was raised in Texas, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. It's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Forgot about Cade, they forgot about Cade. Forgot about, how you forget about Cade?
Okay. All right, guys, I am back. Let me know. Please tell me something good. Let me know that we got some decent audio now. Once you guys confirm, we can get right back to the stream, hopefully, and continue to talk about tonight's game. I'm not sure what's going on. Is that better? Okay, Kenyatta says that is better. Okay. So my apologies, guys. I'm not sure what's going on. But hey, we got to figure it out. Technical difficulties will not stop the show. All right. So let's get back to it. Appreciate you guys' patience as always as we work through that. Now getting back to this game. Let's start with Cade, man. As you guys saw, I left you guys with the forgot about Cade for a reason. So yeah, the fun stat that I mentioned, right? So like I was saying, he over the last 3 years combined has had 21 30-point games. Right? This year he has 22 alone. So, and right now, guys, I was thinking about this. I thought about this a lot. I really was thinking about this a lot during the game, just watching him, and not even just tonight, but just the past few games. I've been sitting back and watching Cade hoop. And I've watched him since my birth. And tonight, though, like I kind of came to the conclusion after giving this a lot of thought. I am now witnessing the best version of Cade Cunningham that I've ever seen. Ever seen. Cade looks as good right now as I have ever seen him play basketball. And I don't just mean one game, but I'm talking about over a stretch, a sustained stretch. And that time off, those 5 or 6 games, I think it was 6 games that he missed, was just what the doctor ordered. Because right now he looks fresh, he looks spry, he looks fully engaged, he doesn't look tired, he doesn't look gassed. Because at times throughout the season, he did not look fresh at all. He looked like a lot of time he was just soldiering through, right? Because his team needed him to be the guy on the team. And we've seen K drop 40 before, right? We've seen him get triple doubles before, but it just looked different than it does now. He's now in full command of his team, and more times than not, full command of the game. And he's doing it efficiently. He wasn't always this efficient. So let's take a second and look at his actual numbers from tonight, because that's kind of what I wanted to get to as far as why I'm saying what I'm saying about his play and why I think he's peaking as of right now. But he had 36 points tonight, guys, to go with 12 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers, 1 foul, 15 for 21 from the field, 3 of 5 from three, 3 of 4 from the free throw line in 36 minutes. And that's what I'm talking about, because K was not always this efficient. I think last game he was 16 for 24. So he's efficient on high volume, right? 15 for 21. That's about 75% for a game. And it's not even just the efficiency. It's not even just the fact that he's not taking a ton of shots to get a lot of his points, but he's scoring and facilitating at will now. You can see he's really put the puzzle pieces together as far as how he is going to be successful in this league. He's figured it out, and he's worked on his game, and he's becoming unstoppable. He's getting his points so easily now, right? I said it last game or last show. It's kind of like when you watch Kawhi Leonard get into his own, and he just comes down possession after possession, and he's just coming off screens or even in the ISO, and he's just getting it up, and it's just going in. The net doesn't even move, right? It's just automatic. Automatic. That's kind of how Cade is looking right now. He's not on that level yet, right? Because he's just beginning to ascend to that point. But you can see he's definitely getting to a point where he is going to be automatic, especially in that mid range. Right, his three ball is getting better too, though. He's knocking that down with more consistency too. But that mid range game is automatic. He can't be stopped. He cannot be stopped in that area. And so I was just watching him tonight, like, man, this dude is really just like, bro is really just getting whatever he wants. And he knows he can go get whatever he wants whenever he wants to. That's the thing. He understands now that he can do it whenever he wants. He's figured it out. D. Davis said it best. It's effortless. It's effortless. And so that's really what I noticed tonight. I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been watching him all season like you guys have. And I think now, though, the fact that he is fresh, he had that time off, and I think he is in tip-top shape for the playoff run. And I think he's going to show out. I really think he's going to show out in these playoffs, guys. And I know you guys have not forgotten, as I have forgotten. It wasn't that long ago when people were saying that Cade should not have gone number one overall, saying that Cade Cunningham was a bust. The narrative has now shifted from that nonsense to him now being in the conversation for all NBA first team. The year difference can make, right? The year difference can make. So on top of that, though, guys, the best thing about all of this, especially when you consider how the Pistons want to play, is that his defense hasn't slipped, right? This season, we've also seen the best defensive version of Cade Cunningham as well. And he looked tonight, and not even just tonight, but all season, he's looked as good defensively as I've ever seen him look. Sustained, right? Sustained defense over a course of games, over a period of time. Tonight, he had a block on Brook Lopez on a dunk attempt, right? And he had another block on Giannis when he tried to go for a oop, and Cade challenged him and stopped him from dunking on that. So, like, he's made plays like that all year defensively. The way he's moving his feet now defensively, his lateral quickness, just his whole commitment to that end of the floor alone has made him a better defender, right? And he's obviously gotten stronger. You can see he's gotten stronger because you have to do that if you're going to be a two-way player. You can't be like you got to get in the weight room, right? If you're going to be able to sustain that type of play on both ends of the court for 48 minutes or for complete games. And so you just see the transformation of his game on both sides of the ball. I do give Coach Bickerstaff a lot of credit for that, for getting these guys to buy in, and then also putting them in the best positions to be successful individually and as a team. So I wanted to shout Kate out, man, because what we're seeing right now, at least in my opinion, is the best version of Cade that I've ever seen. Ever seen. And not even just how easily it looks, because it looked easy a lot of time for him at Montverde. It looked easy for him a lot of time at Oklahoma State. Like, you know what I'm saying? It looked easy. But I'm looking at how he has elevated his game, regardless of where he's been. He right now, the way he's playing on both sides, he hasn't done this before. It has not been at this level before that I've ever seen. So I got to give him a lot of credit, man. Not even just him, his whole team, his whole family, his brother, Cannon, Ashton, Nard, Jalen, Kale, everybody, the whole family, his parents, and then the coaching staff. I got to give them credit too. Jared Jack, Sidney Lowe, Patapinko, all those guys have contributed to not only just Cade, but for the sake of, right, of the conversation, contributed to him really becoming who he is now, and not plateauing or peaking too early, right? Not hitting his ceiling and just plateauing and staying there. But he's continued to get better and elevate his game every season. And now that's why he is in the conversation for All NBA first team. So a lot of credit goes to him. A lot of credit goes to him for sure, man. Salute to you, dudes. You are indeed a superstar, my guy, for sure. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and move to Tim Hardaway Jr. and see what he did tonight. So in this game, Tim Hardaway Jr. has 6 points, 2 of 10 shooting overall, 2 of 8 from 3 in 26 minutes. So Tim Hardaway Jr. did not have a good game, right? He didn't have the game that we're accustomed to him usually having. And that's just really because he didn't shoot the ball well. He didn't really do anything outside of his scope. We talked about it last show, right? When we get to the playoffs, you're going to see a version of Tim Hardaway Jr., hopefully, that is a heightened version of the version we've seen all year. Doing the same things, just a little bit better. Not doing anything new, just staying true to who he is, but just tightening up and tweaking and being a little bit better and elevating your game in those areas that the Pistons ask him to do so in. And tonight, the shot didn't fall. That's really all it came down to, right? So not really much to say about that, but that's pretty much the story on Tim Hardaway Jr. It wasn't for lack of effort. It wasn't for lack of trying. It wasn't for lack of trying to execute and play team ball. Shot just didn't fall. Happens. So that's pretty much the wrap on Tim Hardaway Jr. Moving on to Asar Thompson. So Asar Thompson tonight, guys, had 11 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 fouls on 4 for 9 shooting, 0 of 2 from 3, 3 or 4 from the free throw line in 27 minutes. So watching this game, last show, King and I were talking about Asar. I think he had 3 points last game. He didn't really look to be too impactful in that game, like we're accustomed to seeing him be. But I think tonight, and not even just tonight, but I think going forward, the Pistons are taking a different approach. And the approach for me that I see with the Asar guys, from what I can tell, is like, okay, we know that Asar's ceiling is ridiculously high. We know that he has a lot of raw skills, right? But can we count on a lot of these raw skills consistently in the playoffs? Because right now, you're trying to go as deep in the playoffs as you can. And in order to make a deep playoff run, you got to play consistent basketball. You got to play the same way. You got to approach the same way. You got to try to execute the same way. Have that camaraderie, have that consistency, have that rhythm as a team on both sides of the court, right? Can't have lapses. You can't have stretches where you just, start doing things out of your scope when you're turning the ball over. That's how you lose games quickly in the playoffs. So I think the Pistons at this point are just saying, okay, the things that Asar does well now, we are going to stick to those particular things and not put anything else on his plate, right? So that I think you're not going to see a ton of ball handling from Asar in the playoffs. He may bring the ball up court to cross half court if he's able to grab and go, if he grabs the board. But as far as initiating and things like that, I don't think we're going to see too much of that. I think we're going to see him just do what he does best. And what he does best, at least offensively, is moving without the basketball, right? He's a great mover without the basketball. He's a great cutter. That's probably his greatest strength, in my opinion, offensively. It's his ability to cut, maybe outside of offensive rebounding, right? But even then, a lot of times you're cutting to the basket or you're running to the basket, right, to try to make that move. So his cutting ability really works for him. He has a great sense of how to snake behind defenses when their attention is drawn to Cade or Schroeder, right? Just snaking behind defenses, cutting from the 3-point line, right? Finding a crease in the defense for an easy hoop. I see a lot of times he loves to make that cut out of the pick and roll with Cade and JD, right? When JD catches it out of the short roll, and now they have an advantage in the painted area, you often see JD looking for a star rolling to the hoop. And that's a lot of what he does. He does things like that. Also sit in the dunker spot. Like he just finds ways to get open and to be a safety valve for guys like Cade and Schroeder whenever the defenses collapse or blitz them. So I think the Pistons' approach with him is just going to be, let's just stick to the things you do best for now, and next season and thereafter we can continue to add more into your game. But for the sake of a deep playoff push, by way of hopeful consistency, we're not going to have you do too much. Defensively, we know what he is. We know he can do so many things defensively. That side of the floor, I'm not really worried about at all with him. But I think offensively, that's kind of what I'm seeing is that they're kind of not limiting, but just kind of, well, yeah, in a sense, limiting what he does and not adding anything else to his plate as far as what they ask him to do offensively. And I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. DG says defensively, yes. Offensively, he might cost us some games, sadly, since he can't shoot at all. Well, we'll see, right? I mean, the Pistons have found ways to get him, the ball to the hoop the last few games. But once again, to your point, I don't know how often they're going to do that because it's all about consistency. It's all however, or like however big or small your role, you just want to be consistent in it, right? I would rather guys do two things great consistently than try to do 4 or 5 things inconsistently because that messes with the flow. That messes with your team. That messes with morale. That's how you allow other teams to turn defense into offense and momentum shifts and all these different things can happen as a result of not being consistent, right? So I understand where you're coming from, DG. He is going to have to work on the shot. We all know that. But I do think he does enough for us on the court to definitely be a net positive. I don't think he's ever going to lose us any games because when you think about DJ, he creates so many possessions, from turnovers. So if he does miss a shot here or there, he had an air ball tonight. He may have had two. He had one for sure. If he does miss a shot, I don't think that shot is what may lose us the game because he's making so many other plays throughout the game, getting steals, deflections, blocks, tough contests on shots to get us more possessions. So he may not be the reason we win games with this shooting, but I don't think he's going to be an Achilles heel to where we lose games because of him. So I'm not too concerned about that, but I do hear where you're coming from. But I think that is a good approach with Asar. So we'll leave that there. We know he's going to continue to work on his game, and we'll just see how he progresses. But he was okay. He didn't shoot well, but he knocked down 75% of his free throws. 3 out of 4 from the line. I'll take that all day long. So just continue to slowly build on your game. But in the meantime, between time for the sake of the playoffs, just focus on you and what you do best. I think if he does that, he'll be a net positive for this team in the playoffs. Let's shift to Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris tonight has 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, no turnovers. He did have 5 fouls on 6 for 10 shooting, 3 or 4 from 3 over, or 3 or 4 from 3, 2 or 4 from the free throw line in 30 minutes. So I gotta say this, guys. Like Tobias Harris, man, this dude has been a complete revelation. Complete revelation, man. Like from where he started at the beginning of the year to where he is now on both ends of the court, the narrative that has flipped from the beginning of the season to now is night and day. Night and day. He has never been known for his defense, but this season, especially the last few months, he's been a plus defender. I don't think I've ever been able to say that about Tobias Harris before. There was a play tonight where Giannis was trying to bully him in the post. He made his move, spun to the rim, and Tobias just took the ball out of his hands. He just ripped the ball away from him. You don't see too many guys who are able to do that because Giannis is a big, strong dude. He's powerful and he's physical. But Tobias Harris' commitment to the defensive end of the court is something I've never seen him do anywhere before. So I love the example he's setting for the young guys. If Uncle T can do it, old Uncle T, these old bones can do it, then you can too. And he does a really good job of stripping the basketball. He's got really quick hands. A lot of times I don't like seeing that because that's how you get foul calls or fouls called on you. The refs can see that easily. That's an easy identifier. Um, but there's so many times when he does it, I think it's going to be a foul. They don't call it, and the replay shows he didn't foul. So I just love the commitment to that end that he really has brought. He's really been a steadying presence for this team. And offensively, guys, where has this been all season? Crazy. Like I say that jokingly because now you can see that he really just needed to round into form, round into playoff form. And he is right now running as hot on both sides of the court as he has all year, just like Cade. He's playing the best ball of his career right now, just like Cade, just like JD, just like a few of these guys, right? So I have to give Tobias Harris a ton of credit because he's been, like Bryce said, reliable. He's very, very reliable. And it's interesting for me, guys, when he shoots the ball now, I almost expect it to go in every time, which is the opposite of what I felt all season. But you can see he's really in a rhythm now. The confidence in his jumper is there. He's getting good lift on his jumper. And it looks good every time he shoots the ball. He doesn't have a lot of bad misses. A lot of them are right on target. And a lot of them are going straight in, straight in. So you can see that he really is in a rhythm right now on both sides of the basketball. And this is the Tobias Harris we are going to need if we are going to make that playoff run. But I got to salute. I got to salute Tobias, man, because early this season, there are many games when I was critical of him. I was never saying to bench him, but I was critical of his play because I knew what he was able to do because he did it before when he was here, right? When he was here back in 2016, 2017. And even back then, he was a bucket, but he wasn't as efficient as he is now. Like D. Davis is saying, he was not nearly as efficient as he is. His efficiency, and he takes good shots, right? He doesn't take a lot of errant shots. If the shot is not there, he's looking to move the basketball. He's a very smart and sound basketball player, right? He's experienced, he's polished. But I just love what we're getting from him because he's not doing anything out of the scope of what he can do. But he's just once again like THJ trying to elevate. Same way. Tobias is playing the same way every game. You guys notice he's playing the same type of ball every game. He's just trying to do it at a higher level, just like THJ. And that's all you want. That's how you have consistent basketball, right? That's how you play consistently. It's just try to improve on the margins. That's pretty much it. So Tobias Harris has done this thing. Hopefully we can have this sustained version of Tobias Harris going into the playoffs. But once again, I think those few games off, like Cade had, I think those few games off that Tobias had with the calf strain, that rest helped him because he looks fresh since he's returned, right? Since he's returned, he has looked even better than before he went down. He looked good before he went down. But now, just having those few days off, those few games off to rest and get your body right, he just looks more, he's playing with more pop. He just looks more spry. So I said it earlier this or last week that I was not concerned about how the Pistons were playing during that stretch the past week when they were just kind of like losing to the Grizzlies and losing to these different teams. I wasn't concerned about it because I knew this isn't the full roster. We obviously don't have the full roster because of Jaden, obviously, but as far as what we've had all season or for the second half of the season, the last few games prior to the last one or two, that 5-game stretch or whatever, when the Pistons had Schroeder starting with Cade and Tobias was out and JD would miss a game here, those games really didn't matter to me because it's like this isn't really what we're going to look like come playoff time. I actually tweeted a week ago or so that I knew we looked kind of sluggish, like we were kind of just treading water, but as we get closer and closer to the end of the season and towards the playoffs, we're going to see the team that resembled the team that won 8 straight games, right? And now we're seeing as we get closer and closer to the games that matter, the Pistons are trying to peak at that perfect time. It's all about timing. It's about health and timing. And so the Pistons are just trying to gauge that and balance that act and make sure that they are as close to peak as possible going to the playoffs. Like Devon said, yeah, he's clicking at the right time. 100%. That's what it comes down to. We were talking about Tobias specifically, but Cade and Tobias, Devon, in the sense that both of them have looked both of them look to have really benefited from those games off, right? Cade with his 6, Tobias with his 2 or 3. They both now look like they are refreshed. And that's very, very important as we get closer to the playoffs. So, in the fact that we lost this game tonight, and the fact that the playoffs are solidified, and the fact that we have another game that doesn't matter, may allow for more time for guys to get rest. So, we'll get to that later in the show when we get to the standings, but that's kind of where I'm at with that. D. Davis said, I knew Stu will be out tonight. He was gimpy yesterday. I didn't see that. So what was it that you saw, D. Davis, as far as what looked to be gimpy? I know that he had, what was it that Stu had tonight? I think he had we talked about it earlier. I think he had knee inflammation. I think it was left knee inflammation. So was it his left knee that you saw that looked to be gimpy? If so, then that confirms the injury report. But yeah, just get these guys rest, right? If they need it, now is a perfect time. This next game should be a rest game, right? If you want to get guys, a few minutes here and there just so they can kind of stay in the rhythm of playing, cool. But for me, next game, I don't think any starter should play more than 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. That's what I would say personally. If you want to get other guys more run, cool. I'm all about that. Get Bobby Klintman in there. Get guys who don't get opportunity. Lindy Waters, get these Danish Jenkins, get these guys an opportunity, right? I know D. Davis love that. So yeah, I think the Pistons are doing it right. They're doing it right. It's all about timing at this point in the season. So let's move on to our last starter in Jalen Duren. So JD tonight had 11 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, another double-double again, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 5 for 9 shooting, 1 for 6 from the free throw line, in 39 minutes. So he led the team in minutes played tonight, did JD. So the 1 for 6 jumps out immediately. Like, that is unacceptable. And he will tell you the same thing. Absolutely not good enough, especially because you know that he can knock him down, right? He probably was tired from playing 39 minutes, right? I think he had to play more because Stu was out, right? And the only other big the Pistons had to put on a guy like Giannis was Paul Reed. You don't have anybody else on the roster other than JD who you can say, okay, go guard Giannis for a possession and stop him or try to prevent him from scoring. It was either JD or it was Paul Reed. Tobias at times could do it, like we mentioned earlier, on a play here and there, but you don't want Tobias trying to guard him consistently every time down the corner. You just don't want that. It's just too much of a size advantage, right? So that is part of why I think JD struggled from the line, but it's still more so in my mind a mental thing because if you play 39 minutes and you're 5 for 9 from the field, you can go better than 1 for 6 from the line, right? So, like I was always taught, they're free for a reason. They're free, right? So gotta go knock them down. But aside from the free throw shooting from JD, I'm not gonna focus on that all night as far as with him. But I want to start with his defense. I thought that early this season, just watching JD and watching him play the Bucks in that game early this season when the Pistons should have won, when they were up nearly 20 points against the Bucks, and Stu was holding Giannis in check, couldn't do anything. But that was also the same game where Stu got ejected for tugging on his jersey while he was in the air, right? That game. As soon as that happened, the game flipped because Giannis couldn't be stopped. He was getting whatever he wanted. He was just too quick for JD at that time. And I didn't know if it was more so a effort thing with JD or just the fact that he just was not laterally quick enough to stay with Giannis. And now I know the answer. And it's the same answer that he gave before, was that he just wasn't playing committed enough to the game. He was not committed to the game as a whole. Not that particular game, but just as a whole. He said he was playing soft. We talked about that before, right? Watching him tonight, you see when he is engaged, he can move his feet very, very well. As many times Giannis would try to go north and south from the top of the key, and JD would be right there with him. He swatted one of his shots nearly out of bounds. It would have been a Pistons ball, but he swatted it and it bounced off of JD and went out of bounds. But he guarded him step for step from the 3-point line to the rim and swatted his shot out of bounds. So he definitely has the ability to be able to stay in front, and he's strong enough to stay in front, right? It's not quite at the level of Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart is just a freakish athlete when it comes to foot speed. Like it's crazy. He can guard 1 through 5 comfortably, right? On the perimeter, on the island. You trust him. That's why you got Cade going like this when he's guarding little guards on the perimeter, right? So, but you just see JD when he is fully committed and locked in, he really is a force to be reckoned with. He's a specimen, right? He's a freak of nature. And it was just really good to see him committing to playing Giannis straight up and really making things hard for him at times, really making things tough. So I want to give him credit for that because that was not there all season long. It was not there. That game I mentioned earlier when Stu was ejected, Giannis was getting everything he wanted. Right? JD was not staying in front. He was not staying in front. He was not giving the effort on every play. But tonight you saw he's a totally different player up here. Totally different player. And he is committed to playing and taking pride in playing defense. So I got to shout that out. His vision also has improved a lot. He's always had that ability to pass the ball, but I think part of it too was just getting more opportunity. And I said before, when he is stationary making passes, that's when he's at his best, right? When he is posting or when he is just facing up, that's much better than him dribbling the ball trying to make plays. And he had 4 assists in the first quarter, guys, alone. His passing ability has really, really come a long way. And I mentioned it earlier, but his passing out of the short roll, out of the pick and roll with Cade, when Cade drops the ball to him or lobs the ball to him out of the pick and roll if they double, he is making the right decisions out of that. Whether it's finding a cutter in the SAR, or finding THJ in the corner, or finding Malik on the wing, whoever it is, Tobias in the wing, he's just making the right pass out of it. So that also is going to be a weapon for him and for this team as a big who can make the right pass. That's going to be very, very important for this team going forward. So JD was great. JD was great. Outside of the free throw shooting, I love the toughness he brought, right? He brought a toughness. You guys probably saw it, the little scuffle with him and KPJ, who we'll get to later, where he gave a hard screen on KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., and rolled to the basket, and Kevin Porter Jr. retaliated by putting a forearm in his back, which is dangerous. You can hurt somebody like that. That's why JD responded like that. That's why JD, after the fact, was not trying. Because if you saw, JD turned around really quickly, actually, because he felt, that was a little bit dirty. JD did give him a hard screen because before that, KPJ got a nice throwdown on him, and I think that's kind of what started it. And after that, JD came down, kind of gave him a little bit of hard screen. He rolled, and KPJ pushed him really, really hard in the back. It looked like as JD was trying to jump, and that's dangerous. Like you could hurt somebody, especially lower back. You could hurt somebody like that. And so JD took exception, as he should have. And that's why when he turned around and took exception and walked up back to KPJ, and KPJ went like this, like JD like, we not cool. No, you know what you did. You know what you did, and players know what can be damaging and what can't be. I'm not saying he was trying to hurt him, but that's a push is different. When you put a forearm or somebody's back like that, it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. So that's why when KPJ kept trying to get over to JD, when everybody came over, he kept trying to get over to JD to apologize or say, we good or I didn't. JD wasn't even looking at him. He wasn't even looking at him. He was like, "Nah, bro, no, we're not friends. No, like, move, move, get out of here." So I just like the toughness. I like that. There is no, it's okay. No. Like we have the edge. We're trying to have an edge, or we're not friends. There is no apology accepted. Like we're not friends. So I just like the toughness that he's bringing. I love the toughness that he's bringing, and he's fearless. He's an imposing guy already, and I just like that he's setting that tone and telling everybody, like, if you do something that you're not supposed to, I'm going to let you know about it, and we're not going to be friends after the fact. None of that. That's not happening. So JD's gonna be just fine, man. You got to remember too, he's only 21 years old. 21, guys. Long way to go as far as his growth process. So future's bright for that dude, man. Very, very bright for JD. All right, so let's go to the bench, guys, and we'll look at the standings and call it a night. So let's start with Dennis Schroeder. So Dennis Schroeder tonight, guys, had 12 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 5 for 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3 in 28 minutes. So I don't know why, but the Bucks were just leaving him open from long range like all night, like over and over and over again. They just kept leaving him open. They just were not respecting his 3-point shot, and he kept knocking it down. He knocked 2 of 3 down, and he knocked down a lot of tough shots just in general. And I like Schroeder because Schroeder is like he's a pest, man. Like he's going to get under your skin. We saw it last game with the Knicks when he knocked down Jalen Brunson and stood over him. And on the next play, you see PJ Tucker knock him down and stand over him. And Schroeder's just laughing. He's just laughing, right? So I like that he brings that irritation because those kind of things can throw you off your game, right? Whether you want to see it or not, those kind of things can be important. Daniel Olympic, he says Dennis diminished Schroeder. Devon says Schroeder might bounce back too after. Yeah, like next game is going to be important. I think that's why I'm happy that once again not happy. Well, that's why I'm happy the Pistons are going to get some rest. They're going to get an opportunity now to get some rest because had they won this game, then what? Who knows what could happen after that? You win this game, if you beat the Bucks next game, now you can move to 5. And depending on who you ask, some may have wanted that, some may have not. I did not. But now that it's over, this game is 100% meaningless for everybody because whatever happens now, we are going to be in the 6th seed. So a win or loss makes no difference. So with that being the case, get him some rest. That's why I'm glad tonight played out the way it did. Because now there's no more suspense in the room. It is what it is at this point. So hopefully he can get some rest. But I don't think he played bad, right? He didn't play perfect, but he did make a lot of big plays and make a lot of tough shots in this game. He's been doing that the past few games. I think his presence in the playoffs is going to be important because of his leadership. Because he's played in situations before, and he's fearless. Dude's fearless, and he's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to get under your skin. He's not afraid to get somebody to retaliate, to cause to bear the brunt of the reason somebody's getting a technical foul because somebody pushed him or whatever because he initiated it. I like how he's not afraid to mix it up. Those kind of things can be momentum shifters in the playoffs. So yeah, Schroeder was solid, man. He did his thing. He was cool. All right, let's go to Ron Holland. Guys, Ron Holland struggled tonight. First time in a while I've said this, but Ron Holland did not play well tonight. 0 points, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turnover, 1 foul, 0 for 5 shooting, 0 1 from the 3-point line in 13 minutes. So he had a stinker. Ron had a stinker. Ron didn't really play that much differently than he usually does. His shots just were not falling. Last game, he could not miss in the painted area. But tonight, going against guys like Giannis and Brook Lopez, it's a little bit different than going against guys like Cat and Precious Achua. No disrespect, but those guys are not the same type of defenders as a duo as a Giannis and a Brook Lopez, especially a Giannis and Brook who have played together for years. They know each other. So they have a defensive chemistry as well, and they're long. Giannis is 6'11", Brook Lopez is 7 feet, right? So that's a lot of length and height to deal with despite being athletic like Ron is. Despite being able to hang in the air, like it's still going to be a tough shot more times than not when you're in there. So I think that was the biggest thing. He just really couldn't get any shots to fall. But he didn't play any different. He played the same way he usually plays, right? Trying to get downhill, moving out the basketball, trying to create turnovers and get out in transition. That's what he likes to do. But even his 3-ball wasn't falling, right? He missed his only 3-ball. It didn't look bad, just didn't fall. So it happens. Those things happen. So once again, I'm not too concerned. I think it's good that this happened now, right? Because we can get these stinkers out the way and learn from them. And then once the playoffs hit, hopefully he can be in a position to be able to make the adjustment. Let's go to our next bench guy. Let's go with Fontecchio. So tonight, guys, Fontecchio had 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 or 2 from the field, 1 or 2 from 3 in 5 minutes. So I don't think Fontecchio, guys, is going to play a lot in the playoffs unless there is a need for him to. Last game, he had 6 minutes. Tonight, he had 5 minutes. Now, while tonight he didn't play terrible, once again, it just wasn't that much of an impact. He did knock down one or two. He did knock down a three, right? He missed the other one, but he knocked down one. He was wide open, knocked it down. That was nice. That was good. But as you get closer to the playoffs, you kind of want to have a pulse or a better idea of how your rotation is going to look. And as he continues to get less and less minutes, as we get closer to the playoffs, as the rest of the guys are getting more and more, that tells me that he may not be much of a factor in the playoffs unless there is something like foul trouble comes into play or they just need somebody to come in and provide extra defense or something like that. I don't think I won't say I don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't average 15 to 20 a night. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the rotation is going to tighten up. And I think because he hasn't really provided much impact wise, that he may not get a lot of run in the. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And once again, it's not because he played bad tonight. He did have a play, right? I was watching him, right? I was like, is he going to do the things that he does best or not? And he tried to dribble the ball. He grabbed the rebound on one play. He grabbed the rebound, tried to dribble the ball up court, and immediately got it swiped. It's the same thing that we've been saying all year about Fontecchio. If you're not catching and shooting, move the ball. If it's not a catch and shoot situation, don't try to put it on the floor unless you have an obvious clear path to the rim, right? But other than that, I don't want to see him putting the ball on the floor, trying to dribble, trying to create, getting caught in the air, passing it to nobody, turnover. And every time he does that, it seems like more times than not, when he does that, he makes a mistake and he turns it over. So the fact that he's still doing these things late in the season is troubling for me. And I think that may be part of why he's not going to play a lot, is because once again, you got to do the same things every game. You can't be great one game and then inconsistent the next game and then really good in the next. No, you need to be as consistent as possible. And he hasn't really been consistent all year. You guys think about it. There hasn't been a 5-game stretch where he just played really good, right? We can say for every player on this team, for the most part, maybe aside from a few bench guys, every player has had a stretch where they play very well. Starter or bench guy, right? Starter reserve. But Fontecchio, you can't say that. He just has not been consistent. He has not been consistently impactful. Shooting the ball well or not, he has not been consistently impactful. And I think that is the biggest thing. So I think you may see guys like Ron get more opportunity in the playoffs because Ron has showed that whether his shot is falling or not, because Ron isn't as good a shooter as Fontecchio, but yet Ron is often more impactful on a night-to-night basis than Fontecchio because of the other things that he brings to the game and because of how he consistently plays the same way. Ron knows who he is as a player, even as a rookie. He knows the things that are going to get him and keep him on the floor. And he sticks to those things, right? He doesn't try to go outside of that. He sticks to those things, and he tries to do them consistently. And more times than not, he's impactful. But Fontecchio, that just has not been the case. And I think that's why you're seeing him get 6 minutes last game and 5 minutes this game. So I'll leave that there on Fontecchio, and we'll move on to the next guy. So let's go to now Paul Reed. So guys, Paul Reed tonight had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1-for-1 shooting, and 9 minutes. He also had 2 fouls. So Paul Reed filled in admirably tonight because Isaiah Stewart was not available. And Stu not playing was a big reason also as to why I mentioned JD had to play 39 minutes. But I gotta give Paul Reed credit, man. He filled in. He filled in solidly. Like, it wasn't a great game. There were some mistakes here and there, but I loved the mentality that he brought, the energy that he brought, especially defensively. I felt like he was very solid defensively in the interior. Right? He had good energy. He had good effort. He was challenging a lot. He was challenging everything. He had 3 blocks in 9 minutes against the Bucks. So you know who he's having to guard. It's only a few guys he's going to be guarding when he's guard, right? So I got to give him credit for his effort. He just only scored 1 bucket, right? And that was in transition after getting a block. A nice transition bucket on Brook Lopez, right? So, yeah, I feel like Paul Reed filled in admirably, man. In 9 minutes, you couldn't really ask for more than what he gave. And he honestly gives me more hope that he can be more impactful in the playoffs if this situation does happen again, where somebody is in foul trouble. You can, because I always often said I didn't know if I trusted him to be my third big if I'm trying to contend, and I still don't know if I am yet. I still think we still need to upgrade that spot, but I do think he has given me more confidence as far as this season. As far as I feel a little bit better if Stu is in foul trouble. I feel a little bit better if JD's in foul trouble because it looks like even now Paul Reed is trying to play the same way that JD and Stu play. Like early this season, we were saying we want to see JD play the way Stu plays, right? And over the course of the season, we've seen that. We've seen JD's game evolve to consistently looking more and more like of what Isaiah Stewart does defensively. And now it's a conversation as to where we're seeing Paul Reed at least looks to be trying to play more and more like how JD and Isaiah Stewart play. The uniformity that we always talk about, right? Playing the same way, having the same style of play, regardless of who's in the game. So I just like that he's trying to bring that same mentality that the other bigs are bringing, so that way you really can have that next man up mentality mean more than just a slogan, but you can literally have somebody come in and do the same things that another guy who went down is doing. So for that much, I give him credit. 3 blocks in 9 minutes is solid though. That's better than solid. That's very, very good. Very, very good. All right. Let's go to Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley tonight, guys, had 21 points and one personal foul. 7 for 16 shooting, 7 for 14 from three. He was firing from three in 27 minutes. 50% from three is crazy. On 14 attempts. That's crazy. I think he probably has all but, well, I don't even want to say that because I know Anthony Edwards is getting him up too. We're gonna next stream. I'll let you guys know, unless you guys want to check now and see who has the current lead as far as Beasley and Anthony Edwards. Why don't you guys check that for me real quick? Who has the lead for 3-pointers made at this point between Malik Beasley and Anthony Edwards on the season, with one more game remaining? Because that race is pretty much really heating up at this point in time. So I'm kind of curious to know who has that record or who has the lead, and from there we can kind of figure out. Maybe that's why he took 14 attempts tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But aside from that, he had a slow start to this game. It was a lot of shots early in this game that just would not fall, that usually do fall for him. Right? He looked a little bit out of sync in the first half. And it looked like at a point in time he was kind of forcing some shots in the paint that he normally wouldn't take. Right? He probably would kick it out. But once again, I think he was trying to get himself going, and he just couldn't early. So second half, though, he caught a flame. He caught a flame in the second half. And he started knocking down shot after shot after shot after shot. D. Davis said Edwards has 312, Bees has 305. Wow. So Edwards has passed him. I didn't realize Ant-Man caught him. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. So it looks like Ant-Man may go ahead and win that title for this season, which is not a big deal. But yeah, does Edwards have any more games left, D. Davis, or is he done? Does he have the Wolves have any more? I'd imagine they have one more, right? Let me know. Just chatting says 312 for both on StatMuse. Okay, so somebody be the tiebreaker. Is Ant-Man in the lead with 7 more, or are they tied at 312? I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know. Oh, okay, Dolly. So, okay, that makes perfect sense. So it was 305 prior to tonight, D. Davis, for Ant-Man or for Malik. But now that he made 7 out of 14 tonight, now he's at 312 with Anthony Edwards with 1 game to go. So it's gonna come down to the last game, it seems like, which is interesting. So I would imagine, knowing that now, I wouldn't be surprised if Beasley gets 30 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's allowed to just go. Right? Because I mean he's first of all is in good shape. In order for you to be able to take 14 threes in the game and knock down half of them, like you got to be in good shape, right? You have to have a certain level of condition. So I'm not concerned about him playing 30 minutes next game, right? Whatever. If he wants to go get it, let him go try to get it. I don't care. Like as long as he doesn't overexert and doesn't get hurt, anything like that. But his style of play, I think he'd be just fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons allow him to kind of just go and see if he can get it. And I'll be pulling for him, because the game is going to be meaningless. We're playing the Bucks again, and he may get it because once again, this game is meaningless not just for the Pistons but also for the Bucks. So the Bucks are probably also going to be sitting Giannis. Right? We've said before that the Bucks prior to tonight's game have been trying to win every game. I said that. They've been trying to win every game so they can get to that fifth seed so they can play Indiana. Now, guess what? They're there. Nothing changes from that point. So now they don't have to win the next game. So I can see them sitting guys like Giannis and Portis and Brook Lopez, like especially the older vets. I don't think they're going to play. I don't think Brook Lopez is going to play a minute next game. So we'll see. That may give Bees an opportunity to go get, the record, at least end up with more threes than Ant-Man because he'll be playing against probably inferior competition, probably second string and third string players. So we'll see. It should be interesting. Dolly says Edwards is 1 for 6 in tonight's game. That puts him at 313. Okay, so he has one more game tomorrow. Okay, so he has a 1-game lead or one 3-pointer lead. Okay, interesting. All right. Evan says, why can't the Pistons beat the Milwaukee Bucks? What is wrong with this? I hope that's a joke, everyone. I hope that's a joke. If you're not joking, please let me know. And hopefully, chat, help them out. Help them out, chat. This is a meaningless game. Maybe that's rage bait. Maybe he's being funny. But nothing to be concerned about with this game. I'm not concerned about the Pistons not beating the Bucks in this game at all. This game to me doesn't really mean much. I mean, it does in the sense of playing a certain way, but as far as them winning and losing, it doesn't really matter, especially since we're not going to play them again for the rest of the season after tomorrow's game, right? We play them again, or I'm sorry, not tomorrow, but Sunday. We play them again Sunday, and we're not going to see them after that until next year, unless we somehow both make it to the conference finals, which is not going to happen, right? So I'm not concerned about that. So let's go ahead and move on, guys. Devon says the Pistons are just young and inexperienced. The Bucks have Giannis. The Bucks are seasoned. Yeah, I mean they're a championship team, and they've won before. They are where the Pistons are trying to get to. The Pistons, since this is a serious question, that's what I'll say. The Pistons are in year one. I'm not even going to say, because it's not like it's been going on for a long time with this team. This team just came together this year. So if they win the season series this year, fine. It doesn't mean anything to me because they've been together. They've got Giannis. They played together for a long time. They have championship pedigree, right? Pistons don't. Pistons have a ton of talent and a higher ceiling than the Bucks, right? But they got to get there. None of their core four or core five, however we look at it, have ever been to the playoffs. Cade, Jaden, Nassar, JD, Stu, Ron, none of them have been to the playoffs. So it's experience. It's nothing to be concerned about, right? It's nothing to be concerned about, especially if this team can stay together, and especially if they can have a playoff run that lasts more than 4 games, which has not happened the last 3 times the Pistons have been there. 2009 they got swept, 2016 they got swept, 2018 they got swept. So it's experience. This is going to be a great season or a great opportunity for the Pistons to really get some experience, playoff experience, hopefully, possibly past the first round. And that in itself will go a long way for the Pistons going forward. So it's nothing to be concerned about, everyone, as of right now. All right. Last comment for now, and then we will go ahead and get to the standings. Devon says, Cade is showing us he's ready. He went toe-to-toe with Giannis tonight. Yes, he did. Yeah, man. Like, tonight, Cade looked like a superstar. And that's why I said what I said earlier, Devon. Devon, if you came a little bit late, I was saying earlier that after careful consideration, Cade looks to me like he's playing the best basketball I have ever seen him play. Ever. Like he has elevated his game to another level now. The way he's scoring with ease now, the way the game is slowed down, the way he's making the right reads. He did have a few turnovers late in the game. I don't care. I don't care about that. They were definitely a factor, right? But if you just watch the overall body of this game, body of work from this game, you can see how much he's elevated. You can see he's one of those guys now. Once he gets the experience to go along with it, and once he gets some future all-stars on this team, which I think are already here, Because you got to remember, guys, he has not ever played with an all-star before. Cade has not played with an all-star like current at that time. He has not had that opportunity. So for him to be doing what he's doing is incredible. And once these guys, at least one or two of these guys on his team, in my opinion, elevate to that level, we're going to see a different version of him because they're going to make the game easier for him too. So for him to be doing this already is insane, insane, and it's going to be fun to watch, man. It's going to be fun to watch. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to this. Let's get to the standings, guys, and we'll call it from there. We'll call it a night, and we'll all separately go enjoy our weekends. All right, so let me pull the standings up here. Let me make sure I refresh, and let's go check this out. By the way, guys, let me know how you guys are feeling about the way the standings are playing out. Like, is this who you wanted to see? Did you want the Pistons to play the Pacers? I think most of you guys wanted to see the Knicks. Obviously, you know why I wanted to see the Knicks. But yeah, let me know. So this is the updated. Let me do one more time, refresh, because I know the Pacers played tonight. I think the Pacers lost. I'm pretty sure they lost. They were down double digits when I was watching. Yeah, they did lose. So they are now 49-32, and the Bucks are 40. Okay, so let's check it out, guys. This is what I meant when I said that the standings, the Pacers losing and the Pistons losing, pretty much dictated and cemented the playoff picture. So if the Pacers had lost or won, if the Pacers had won this game, they could have identical records with the Knicks, right? But because they lost, they are now one game back of the Knicks. So even if the Knicks lose their final game and the Pacers win their final game, if they end up tied, the Knicks had a tiebreaker. So regardless of what happens, the Knicks are going to end up the 3 seed, right? For the Pistons and the Bucks, as you guys can see, there's a 3-game lead that the Bucks have on us now. And had we tied, had we won both games against the Bucks, right? This game and the next game, we would have had a chance to be able to hold a tiebreaker. We would have held a tiebreaker because we would have had a better conference record. The division record would have been 7-9 on both sides, and had we won both games, and the head-to-head record would also have been 2-2. It would have been tied head-to-head, right? But the conference record, we would have had a half game up. We would have had them with a half game lead. It's not always the same. It's not like win-loss record, 82 games, is always going to be the same. Sometimes conference records are a little bit different. You'll have more games than another team or one less game than the team. We would have had a half game lead, I believe. Don't quote me, I believe, conference-wise. But we would have held the tiebreaker is the point. So because that did not happen, we are 6. The Knicks are 3. The Pacers are 4. And the Bucks are 5. So we play the Knicks and the Pacers. Guys, the Pacers-Bucks series is going to be very, very interesting. That is going to be a very, very interesting series. Like I cannot wait for that series because of what we saw last year. Right? We talked about it. I think the Bucks are really going to try to go in and beat them because of what happened last year when Giannis got hurt. When the Bucks were winning that series and they lost because Giannis went down. So I think I have the Pacers losing to the Bucks in 6 or 7 tops, but definitely I think it's going to be 6. I think the Bucks are going to get back, and the Pacers are going to lose. The Pacers are a good team, but I think the Bucks, especially if Dame is able to come back, and Giannis is being Giannis, and you got Brook Lopez rested, you got Bobby Portis coming back, who came right back without skipping a beat after missing 25 games, and it looks just like Bobby. And you have a Kyle Kuzma now, who is not the Kyle Kuzma of the Lakers, but he's still a solid player. He's not even Chris Middleton. When Middleton was peak Middleton, he's not that guy either, right? But he's another guy. And more importantly, I mentioned it yesterday, Kevin Porter Jr., who was a nuisance tonight, who was a little bit annoying tonight, who's one of those guys, those Dylan Brooks type of players, where you love them if they're on your team and you do not like them at all if they're not, right? But aside from the antics, Kevin Porter Jr. is a good player. And he looks to be a perfect fit on this Milwaukee Bucks team. Perfect fit for what they needed. That extra toughness on the perimeter, who can also play make. Good defender, right? So he has been a great pickup for them. I think those things are what are going to propel them over the Indiana Pacers. So we'll see. And obviously, you guys think, when it comes to the Pistons and the Knicks, that I think that the Knicks are going to fall to the Pistons in 6 or 7 games. I'm going to say 7, just out of respect for the experience factor. I think something is to be said about experience. When you've been there before and you've played in those situations before, and you've had the opportunity to be able to be in that situation, it goes a long way. We just talked about why everyone was bothered by the fact that the Pistons can't seem to beat the Bucks. At least this version of the Pistons, right? And what was the answer? Experience, polish. So I can't say that and then turn around and say the Pistons are going to beat the Knicks in 5 games. You know what I mean? Like, especially on the road. Like, we gotta be realistic. I know we want that to happen, but we gotta look at it realistically. And I think experience may win a game for the Knicks. It may win them a game down the stretch. They may execute better. We don't know. But I'm not discounting experience, right? I am not going to do that. So however you want to look at experience, whether you look at it as winning, losing, whatever, So that's my take on that. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week coming up. The last game is Sunday at 12:30. The Pistons will play the Bucks again. And guys, this coming Sunday, do not allow yourself to be bothered or to get too high or too low. Just watch the game and enjoy the game. This is going to be probably the most meaningless game of the year because it doesn't mean anything from a win-loss standpoint. So don't watch the game to see who wins the game. Watch the game to see how the Pistons who are playing the game. Maybe you want to watch the game for some guys like guys like Bobby Clintman, guys like Lindy Waters. I saw Mega Hudson mention Lindy Waters, right? Maybe those guys get a chance. Just sit back and enjoy the game and don't get too high or low on what actually happens in the game because it doesn't really mean much. It doesn't really mean much. So I'm looking forward to just relaxing, watching that game. It's going to be a road game, right? It's going to be a road game. And yeah, we can just sit back and see what happens. And we'll go from there. So that is going to conclude this show, guys. Once again, I appreciate you guys always showing up and showing out as you always do. I will be back post-game around 3:15 on Sunday once the final game of the year, which is crazy to say, final game of the year is going to be this Sunday at 12:30 against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we will all be back here to talk about that. I hope you guys are, most importantly, safe this weekend, but have fun. Enjoy your weekend. Spend time with your friends, family, whatever. But just please, as always, be safe. So it's been a great show as always. Looking forward to seeing you guys here on Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, rather. And as always, Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
All the dirty work, all dog. I'ma dive on the floor, go try to block every shot. And I'ma be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think it's just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. They talking hundreds, I hear your shade. Talking that shop, you must run this way. Look at dog palm, mess around, find out, Look at dog palm, mess around, find out, For some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're ready for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better cough a hill, cause I'm like that.